Hi everybody, and welcome back to I Wine, We Wine. Today is going to be Wine 101, your basics, the different regions of wines, and then the basic wines that you have out there that you can actually choose from. There are over 6,000 regions of wines that exist, 10,000 different producers that are out there, and with Italy alone, there's like 1,000 different grapes in Italy. Can you believe that? I can't believe that either. So it's like, what wine do I choose for myself if there's over 1,000 grapes in one region alone in Italy? So that's just what we're going to talk about. We're going to explore the different areas of wine, and we're also going to explore the different types of wines that exist out there. We're going to start off with red. Red is my favorite wine, and there are thousands of different types of reds that you can choose from because of the different regions. If you want a Merlot, obviously there's a Merlot that you can get from Italy, there's a Merlot that you can get from California, and there's a Merlot that you can buy from South Africa. But which wine do you purchase? When we're talking about the different regions that are out there, one of the two main points is to talk about the old region and the new region, or the old world and the new world. The old world is your places like Italy and France. It's where wine really originated from in the beginning. Then you have your new world, and your new world is going to be the United States, Canada, South America, South Africa, Australia, and everyone else that exists out there. So wine is produced all over the world. There are many, many different types of Merlots, Cabernets, Sauvignon Blancs, Rieslings, just because of the different regions that exist out there and the different producers. It's really based upon that wine vineyard and what that winemaker wants to do with their wine. They can add something like a pear when it comes to a white, or an apple, make it crisp and nice. They can add something like a chocolate or a vanilla or a hint of raspberries or blueberries when it comes to your red wines. So it's all about choosing all about being able to choose what actually works for you. You don't really have to know all these facts. You really, really don't. One of the things that I do for myself is I know that I like reds. Red is more high in alcohol content, which means it gets you there a little bit quicker because I like to get my buzz on right away. So that's why I like reds. Other than that, I like the bitterness and I love the taste of them. One of the things that you can do to help yourself when choosing a wine is looking at the label. The labels of wine sometimes let you know the different notes that exist within the wine, so that if you like it, next time you purchase one, you can find something else that exists like that just by looking at the label. Not all labels have those facts on the back of it, but I think it definitely really does work. It really helps me choose what I like. When I'm looking for a wine, I love the chocolate hints. I love the vanilla. I love raspberry. I love the cherry. These different notes is what makes a good body of wine to me. So you have to figure out what makes a good body of wine to yourself. Now let's move on to the different type of wines that exist out there. In your wine category, there's a white, a red, and then your sparkling wine. In your white category, there are Chardonnays, Pinot Grigios, Sauvignon Blancs, and etc. In your red category, you have your Merlot, your Malbec, your Shiraz or Syrah, and your Cabernet Sauvignons. And there are many others as well. In your sparkling category, I would put a Moscato d'Asti in your sparkling category because it does have the sparkling CO2 bubbles in it. And then you have your champagne. Who loves champs? I know I do. So this lets you know the different types of wine categories that exist out there. And then based upon that, you break it down to your region and you break it down to the area that it was produced. And that is what makes up the wine. The area that it's produced in, the soil, the way that the winemaker chooses to add different things to their wine, and then what is it actually made in? Is it made in a wood barrel? Is it made in a steel barrel? What type of other flavors and tannins are actually in the wine that makes it what it is today. Now that we know the type of wines that exist out there, how do you choose a wine? Well, this goes into what I call wine tasting. In order to figure out what wine really works for you, you're actually going to have to taste it. I know it's a terrible job to do, but yes, you're actually going to have to get out there, purchase different wines, taste it, and figure out what really works for you. When it comes to wine tasting, 95% of the things that we taste out there comes from our nose. Yes, we're going to smell it. That's one of the first things you do when you are wine tasting. I'm actually going to do a video later on about the ins and outs of tasting the wine, but right now that is your basics. You take the wine and you're going to want to swirl it on the table like this. And this just releases the flavor of the wine so that you can actually get in there with your nostril and smell it. You want to get all the way in there. And when you smell the wine, you're able to figure out exactly why you like that wine. What is good about it? You should be able to smell the different senses of the wine, what it's made up of. You might be able to smell some wood. You might be able to smell some cherries. You might be able to smell chocolate. These are the different types of things that your senses will pick up when you're actually smelling the wine. And then you go and you taste it. You swish it around in your mouth a little bit. It actually helps the oxygen get into the wine so that you can pull out some of the different flavors when you're tasting the wine as well. You have to do this many different times in order to figure out what wine really works for you. Every wine doesn't work for everyone. My palate is different from your palate, so obviously going out and finding a wine that works for you requires homework, and your homework is tasting. Who doesn't like tasting wine? So the next time I'm going to do a video, I want you guys to have a bottle of wine and a glass available for you. We're going to taste some wine, and we're going to taste more than one. So you want to make sure you have a few different types of wines out there so that you can taste it and understand the difference. You just don't want one wine. So I suggest for our next video, you get you a Chardonnay, a Riesling, a white. These are white wines. And then for your reds, you might want to grab a Merlot or a Shiraz or a Cabernet Sauvignon. Choose those different types of wines for our wine tasting because I think it really is going to help. We're going to go through that wine tasting. We're going to have a great time doing it. But right now, this was your wine basic, your wine 101. This is, the different types of wines that exist out there. There are more than what you see here on this table, obviously. When you see the different wines when you go into a grocery store or when you go into a wine store or something like that, there's thousands of wines on the shelf. And it sometimes can be complicated, confusing, and exhausting at times. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight to the different wines that are out there. My favorite is a blended wine, a Bordeaux blend, and it's called 5 Cane. It is an awesome wine. It has about 4 different types of wines in one. So it's like you're getting everything that you love in one. 5 Cane wine. If you can ever in life purchase that wine, I think it retails about $108, but if you can ever do it, that is a great wine. Great wine. Now, I'm not saying the higher cost of the wine makes it a great wine, but it is expensive wine to me. And that's the kind of wine I will go out and buy and let sit on my shelf for about 5 to 10 years before I pop that baby open. Let it age. The more that it ages, especially for your reds, the better it tastes along the road. So, thank you for participating with me today on Wine 101. I am Dion, and I wine, we wine. Thank you guys.
Doesn't matter.